What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 306.4. Cannot believe it's already been that many. Our summer basketball report with Central Michigan basketball associate head coach Brooks Miller, who of course has a lot of Indiana ties, being the head coach at Trine, leading them to a national championship, and some stories about his time with Coach Bob Knight on his staff at Texas Tech. So it's a really good listen. I know, I was there when we did it.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Grant, we were here today to do an IU report, but we ran into a familiar face to a lot of Indiana basketball fans, Coach Brooks Miller, who of course led Trine to a national championship and is now the associate head coach at Central Michigan. And Grant, take it away.
Well, Coach, you were just talking to us and mentioned how you were an assistant graduate assistant at Texas Tech with Coach Knight. Talk about that experience, being around one of the greatest coaches in the game, and what you kind of took away from that and learned from it.
Every day was just an awesome adventure because when you came into the office, you didn't really know what you were going to get a chance to be a part of. I never wanted to miss a moment where Coach spoke to the team or addressing the staff. But I can't talk about Coach Knight without talking about Pat Knight.
Right, absolutely.
Pat brought me down there as a GA, and one of the things I'm most excited about here is to hook up with Pat again. You know, Pat's down here at Marion, so we're here to watch some great players and recruit some great players for Central Michigan. But I'm here also to catch up with Pat and relive some good memories and kind of pick his brain a little bit of where he's at. But every day at Texas Tech was awesome. Chris Beard was one of the assistants there.
Yeah.
Him and I were very close. I was basically his and Pat's assistant when it came to player development there. So learned a lot and always had a great value for what Indiana basketball brings, not just as players on the floor, but the mindset and the culture they bring to the locker room. We were fortunate. We got two players from Indiana coming up here. Keenan Gardner, who won a state championship at Fishers, is coming to join us at Central Michigan, and Nick Mullen, who was a great player at Chesterton for some great coach there. So we're really excited about having those guys a part of our inaugural team up at Central Michigan.
Well, we're going to cheer for Ball State, but we still we can have a second rooting interest now at Central Michigan.
That's right.
Who's one of the players here this weekend that you know of is standing out on your radar?
We actually can't talk about that. Other players in high school that we're recruiting, but you know, once they sign, we can have a comment there. But there's a lot of great players here, and there's quite a few of them I think for us to choose from.
That's good.
And you know, the way the recruiting works now, it's really changed. It changed at the lower levels that I've been at, but now at the highest level, it's become a real unique process. But it's still recruiting. And recruiting is about finding out what these players need and how you can fulfill those needs for them. And I think the coaches that are able to do that the best are the ones that have the most success.
What's your best Coach Knight story from when you're at Texas Tech?
You know, Coach Knight was really funny. He had a great sense of humor. And I think one thing about leadership that's really unique, he was such an intense guy, and I think intensity is important when you bring that to the group to train them. But also, it's nice to have a moment when you can kind of break it with some humor and then get back to work. But there's a lot of great Coach Knight stories. But more importantly than anything else, Coach was extremely encouraging and very positive. We were very limited. We had three of our best players on that team that I was a part of his last year that were freshmen, so there were a lot of growing pains there. When it came to just the expectation of where we needed to be in the Big 12. The Big 12 had the Griffin brothers, Blake Griffin, Taylor Griffin. You had Michael Beasley, who was the National College Player of the Year at Kansas State. Baylor was loaded with Coach Drew, and Texas was Texas, and even Texas A&M had some great players. They had DeAndre Jordan and a couple other players that are actually better than him at college standpoint. So just the encouragement level of how to build guys up and take advantage of what they can do well. But the best Coach Knight stories I got are the fundamentals he brought every day. Shot fake, sprint to screen, finish a cut. How important those things were on a possession-by-possession basis.
Things that'll benefit any player.
Any player, no matter whether you were 6 foot tall or 6'8", you had a 38-inch vertical or a 3-inch vertical. Coach found ways to win and take advantage of every opportunity with the game. With talent being equal, how do we win the game?
Coach, before we let you go, just curious, You won the Division III National Championship at Trine a couple years ago. You're able to do that and win that national championship, basically playing a home game in Fort Wayne. How crucial was that to your guys' advantage on winning a national championship?
Well, one of our goals when we got to Trine 15 years ago was to build an excitement about what we were doing there as a team on the floor. And that year we were able to lead the country in overall attendance. We had over 26,000 people come watch us play at Trine University that year. Wow. And then we were able to play in front of a crowd of almost 5,000, which was a record for the national championship in Division III. So when you win a national championship, it really isn't about the coaching, the X's and O's, the players. They're a big part of it, but it's about the support and that comes with it. And the thing I'm most proud of is the pride that our community had in our team and our players. And it was just such a special, unique experience. I could be the coach of the Lakers someday, and we could win a national championship, and it wouldn't mean any more than that or a world championship, and it wouldn't mean any more than that national championship did to us and our team and everybody involved at Trine University.
What's it going to take for the Chippewas to get to that level?
I just think a constant reminder and focus each and every day how we can collect wins. You know, in year one, we wake up in the morning, I write in a notebook, okay, what are some possible wins out there for us today? And trying to get the best record every day. So how many of those little wins can we get each and every day that help build a program, build the team, build a mindset? But we have a great leader in Coach Andy Bronkema. He had a ton of success at Ferris State where he won a national championship in Division II in 2018. So we have a championship mindset there. We just got to continue to work and develop those pieces around us, and we're going to do that. That's one thing we can guarantee the Chippewa Nation is that we're going to continue to combine the passionate basketball fan base they have and turn it into a winner.
What kind of expectations do you have for this upcoming season?
You know, coming from the small college ranks like most of us have, we're really trying to limit the expectation is always to be the best our team can be, and right now it's to win that MAC championship. How do we get to a point to where in that second weekend in March we can be playing our best basketball? So we're still trying to we got one more player we're trying to add to the roster here yet, but it really comes down to the little steps we can take each and every day to build that championship tournament team that we need. So we're going to constantly be learning. We have 15 new players. We have obviously an entire new coaching staff. We even got to hire a new trainer. So there's a lot of things that are going to go into that, but we know that we're fighting time, and the only way to overcome time is to build relationships and just stay committed to each other.
There's a program around here that knows a little bit about complete roster turnover, right, Grant?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a trainer as well.
Yep. Yeah. It's Indiana, and talk about being there in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. How long have you been there?
I've been there about, I think 8 weeks now.
Okay.
We actually just closed on our house in Angola.
Coach, right?
Yeah, we just closed on our house in Angola where my kid, I have an 11-year-old son, Champ, 8-year-old daughter, Jordan, my wife, Gretchen. That's been the foundation of our family. So it's been a big adjustment. We've been able to go back and forth, but we're really excited to close on our new house next week and really begin the new chapter of our lives.
What's the best place to eat in Mount Pleasant?
You
figured that out yet?
I'm going to tell you right now, Mount Pleasant is a gem when it comes to food.
Okay.
There are a lot of great dive places with great food and really good ambiance, and there are also just of course, I grew up on a pig farm in Northwest Ohio where we didn't even have a fast food restaurant. The Country Charm was the best thing we had going there, but Mount Pleasant's awesome when it comes to eateries. I think Marty's or the Bird is probably my style.
Where are you from in Northwest Ohio?
I grew up just outside of Savannah, outside of Toledo. So I went to the University of Toledo. I played there for a year for Coach Joplin. And it was an incredible learning experience for me, but I finished at Hillsdale College where I played for Hall of Fame coach Ed Galma.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I've been very fortunate to be around a lot of successful mentors in my life. Coach Galma was a Hall of Famer, won a national championship. When he was at Calvin College, I played for him at Hillsdale and worked for him. I worked for Steve Green at South Plains College, who won 3 national titles in junior college level. And then obviously being around Coach Knight and Pat and that staff for as long as I was able to do that. Some things you just kind of take for granted. It's like being part of a great family. You know how to be on time. You know the little things that it takes to give you the best chance to be successful. So real lucky to have the mentors that I've had in my career.
And this event really helps with the recruiting, doesn't it? Having everybody in one place, how much is that?
I can't tell you when they went to this, 8 or 10 years ago, where college coaches were able to go watch the live period went to June. To be able to see a young man compete for his high school coach, where there's a lot of preparation involved, there's maybe a lifetime body of work with that, to see how they play in that environment, but also the AAU environment, and compare it to the AAU environment where there's not as much structure just based on time. There's great coaching there, great players in AAU, but to see them in both environments and compare the two is really valuable for a coach.
I'm curious, because you've coached in Indiana, so you know the surrounding schools and recruiting kids out of Indiana. Is it crucial to want to recruit a kid that you know has played for a good high school coach?
Absolutely. It's like, being a parent really helps you here. When you got kids, who do you want your kids hanging around?
Absolutely.
You want them hanging around with kids with good families. When they go to somebody's house, they're going to be well taken care of. They're going to be taught to do things the right way. They're going to stay out of trouble. It's the same way in high school or recruiting high school players, or even now in the transfer portal. You want to recruit them from good programs. Young men with great habits they have good winning habits that they don't even realize they have. The expectation of how to compete and practice every day. I think it really goes a long way. And if you look at our national championship team from Trine, we had, of the 15 players on our roster, I think almost 10 of them won a championship somewhere else, whether it was a state championship in high school or a championship in college somewhere. It really, really makes a huge difference to the culture in your locker room.
Please tell us you're not a Cleveland Cavaliers fan.
I'm a people fan. I grew up a Pistons fan, and Isaiah Thomas fan. So there's an Indiana. I guess he's a Chicago guy, but he's an IU guy.
They're not bad.
I really respect the way certain people go about their business. I still think the Golden State Warriors from a few years back, the way they shared the basketball, really was a model for how the game should be played. Even at the highest level, that you can still share the ball, attack the ball, go get the ball. It comes down to those three things. But
this Pacers team.
But I will tell you,
similar.
my son is a diehard Pacers fan. Ryan Carr, one of the vice presidents there for the Pacers, has been a big fan of ours, a mentor of mine in some ways. So it's easy to root for the Pacers, and those are things that we look for. Growing up, I've become a Notre Dame fan. Just because of how they do things at Notre Dame, you really respect. There's a first-class environment to that. And, there's just a lot of things about Matt Painter at Purdue that you really respect, the longevity, the things that he's been able to build there at Purdue.
Unreal.
So I think we have a lot of great examples all around us here in Indiana, and even in the state of Michigan now with Coach Izzo and the things they really value. It still comes down to people. Everything you do is about people, how you treat them, and the better you treat them, the more you respect them, the more we'll get out of each other.
And what kind of player? If you could recruit one certain type of player, what are you looking for?
We're looking for young men that are committed, great teammates, guys that smile, guys that aren't afraid to go up to a teammate, give him a high five, or give a chest bump to a coach after a good play. Guys that can really communicate. The physical tools make a big difference. Ideally you want some length, some size, and athleticism. I really think it's very difficult to improve without length and athleticism. I think the more athletic you are, the higher ceiling you got. Although skill now has really climbed up the ladder compared to when I played in the late 90s, where it was really raw power and athleticism. That skill level is at a premium, maybe more than it's ever been. I think Coach Carlisle talked about that in a post-game interview last week, about almost the majority of 5 men in the NBA can make an outside open three, which changes defensive schemes. So skill is really high, but I'll always be I'm always attracted to length and athleticism. I'm a defensive guy. So if you want to have a good defense, you got to recruit good defensive players. But I think there's a way to find a combination of all that, like a puzzle, like everybody says, trying to piece together a puzzle of things that you can do well.
What was so attractive about wanting to leave Trine to make the jump to Central Michigan?
Well, I never wanted to leave Trine. I loved it there. It was an incredible place. But Coach Bronkema and I have really grown tight and had built a strong relationship throughout the years. And if I was ever going to go be an assistant for someone, it was going to be for someone that I had a real investment in, and I knew they had an investment in my family, and that's Coach Bronkema. So we talk 3 times a week about. The majority of our talks discuss how do we make our players better, what else we can do for them. So we're always on the page about players and how to improve them. And I just really value how his belief system and thought that if I was going to make a jump to that level, that's probably the way I had to go from the Division III ranks to get back into the Division I level. So that's a very good question, and really it's Coach Bronkema. I really believe in his vision and what we can do at Central Michigan.
Is he going to be here this weekend recruiting?
He's not. He's going to be in Michigan recruiting.
Okay.
He's on the tour right now.
Why does he want B-level players?
What's that?
The A-level players are here.
Yeah.
B-level players are in Michigan. What's he doing?
Yeah, it's amazing. There are great players everywhere, aren't there?
I don't know. I agree with Coach. I think
I have a little. There's a reason I'm here, though, and the reason he sent me here as well.
Yeah. Well, Coach, go ahead.
Just because you're more familiar with the state and know where kids are from and all that.
Well, he knows what this place is about too. He's competed against Division II teams. He's competed against Coach Hetty at IU. He's at IU Indy, and he's competed against all types of great teams from this area too. So he knows what it's about. He wants to get in the market for guys from Indiana, and we're going to do that. We've already made a pretty big punch right now with our upcoming team. We really love those two guys that we got and have signed, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to recruit Indiana.
Finally, I'm curious. Your non-conference schedule right now, what's that look like for you? I'm sure it's not been finalized, or you probably can't talk about it.
It is. We just added. We added Wisconsin yesterday.
Okay.
We signed that contract. We'll be playing at Wisconsin.
Wow.
We'll play at Marquette. That'll be a big game for us. We're going to have Northern Kentucky at home. Getting a home game against a mid-level team is a big deal right now. It's not an easy thing to do in mid-major anymore. We'll be going to Bradley. We'll play St. Louis, and we're going to be in Loyola, Chicago. Those will be some games we're playing. We have a Sun Belt matchup. We'll be playing two Sun Belt teams. We don't know who those are yet.
Okay.
But that's kind of our non-conference schedule. We're adding UMass to the MAC this year, so that'll really up our profile.
Yeah.
We're excited for those challenges.
Coach, I think Central Michigan got a good one, and we hope you got 18-2 in the MAC. 2 losses to the Cardinals. Other than that, we'll be cheering for you. Thanks,
All right,
Coach.
thank you guys very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you so much to Grant for helping me out with the podcast. We're going to be doing a lot more of these coming up during the summer. We'll probably talk to every basketball coach around, probably some other sports as well, but Grant and I, our hearts are on the basketball courts. Sorry, everybody else. We have other interests as well, but that's where our excess focus tends to go. Good thing people in Central Indiana seem to like that. And thank you so much to Coach Miller for being readily available. He's made it really easy for me to never have considered cheering for them, except for I did have an all-time football favorite go there that I covered in high school. But we will be looking out for the Chippewas and see what Coach Miller and Coach Bronkema can do. And thanks most of all to you for listening. If you like what you hear and you want to help us continue to grow and thrive and bring you great podcasts like this, all we ask is that you tell your friends and family about the Central Indiana Sports Report. You could also subscribe. That's a good idea too. But, whatever you can do. If you're willing to help, we're willing to accept. Central Indiana Sports Report is a podcast of ITG Media, and I love Susie.